And a happy Friday to you. Welcome back to another weekly check-in where we spend time working on our diabetes, putting our diabetes in remission, putting our diabetes in reversal. Hey, we're going to be doing another check-in. We're going to be doing another complete review of fasting. How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast successfully? And then how do we end the fast? How do we break the fast without undoing all those benefits that we got: autophagy and weight loss and improved blood sugar control and improved insulin resistance, lowering our blood pressure and our cholesterol, and on and on and on. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to do exactly those things and who want to reverse their diabetes. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music to let you know that I'm happy that you're here and welcome you to the community. If you have questions as we move throughout the show, go ahead and put those in the comments as well, because we'd love to get to those. And as I'm searching through, that'll be a good way for me to identify those questions so that we can get to them and answer them for you. Wherever you're joining us from, whether it's on Twitch or Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube, we welcome you to the community, welcome you to the show as we do our review. As you know, I do a 72-hour fast. If you were with us last night, if you did not catch that episode where we actually broke the fast at 97 plus hours. That's right, we started the fast a little early this week because we were on the heels of eating a lot of food last week, and then getting into today and over the weekend, I'm going to be spending some time with some friends. And so fasting is that amazing tool that we can pick up when we need it, and we can pick it down when we put it down when we don't need it, and use it as we see fit to be able to evaluate and to be able to improve our metabolism. Yes. You guys know how we do. I've got sitting over next to me my glucose meters that we'll take a look at here in just a minute. Let me move that up a little bit. Take a look here in just a minute. And then right below me, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll look at and see what is going on with my blood sugars, or what has been going on with my blood sugars, particularly as we broke that fast in our last episode. If you didn't watch that, that was a fun episode. You guys got to choose what I was going to eat first as I broke that fast, and then we watched my blood sugar as it changed. And we'll take a look at that as well over the course of this episode, because I do want you to see what happened to blood sugars as I continued eating. If you've not done so, there is an amazing playlist that we have, and it is a sub-series that we did within the fasting series called The Science of Hunger. The Science of Hunger. There are six episodes in there, and we really just spent a lot of time going deeper so that we understand what it is that we are battling when we talk about hunger. Right? We talked about the different types of hunger: physiologic hunger and psychological hunger. And most of us, it's not a physiologic issue, a lot of it is here. And what does that mean? How are the hormones working? What are some what are some things that we can do, or what are some things that influence our hunger? And you want to make sure that you get over there and you watch that as we move through the space. So let's go ahead and let's talk about what we're doing. What are we doing here in the space, and why are we doing the things that we're doing? Got my little trusty cup. So new year, new you. Remember, new year, new you. And so one of the most devastating diseases that we have, that we know in modern times, is diabetes. And diabetes is a significant burden around the world. In fact, right now, there are over 500 million people who suffer from diabetes. Another 5 to 6 million who have pre-diabetes, that is, blood sugars that are higher than normal, but not high enough to be classified as diabetics. And so those people, if you combine those two groups, that's over 1 billion people on the planet that currently suffer from this devastating disease. And so in our New Year, New You journey, in our process, in the pathway that we've been going down, we've been working on reversing diabetes. So we're talking to people who have type 2 diabetes, adults, who want to get off of medication, who want to improve their metabolic health, who want to improve their insulin sensitivity, and who want to reverse their diabetes. Those are the people that we're talking about. And so we've been walking down this path on how do we get that done successfully. And we've learned several tools. We've learned lots of amazing tools that do help us with that. Of course, fasting, we'll come back to talk about that in a minute, but you'll see there that we've learned about how to evaluate what is the reason, what's the purpose, what is the driving force behind us now making a decision that we want to be healthy metabolically, and particularly in the diabetes space. Fasting, of course, we've learned several models that talk about what are the triggers that we have, habits, emotions, access, and taste, that's the HEAT model, and how do we combat those? Because if we cannot figure out for ourselves, what is the driving thing? What is the thing behind why I snack, why I love that particular food, why I feel like I have to have that all the time? Often what we do is we fight food. Right? So we walk up to someone, we say, hey, you are diabetic, or you have a problem with that. You need to stop eating the food. But we don't quite understand the hormonal changes, the hormonal signals that are going on within that person that is making it not impossible, but very difficult for them to give up that particular food. And so often when people try to do that in isolation, they end up not succeeding, not because they don't have drive, not because they don't have willpower, not because they don't have a desire. They don't succeed because they don't understand the implications of what's going on in their body, and they think, oh, this is just I am not strong enough. But there are significant hormonal drivers that are in the body that are forcing us to do the things that we do. And so understanding that and finding ways to deal with that makes it much simpler to handle the pull, if you will, of the food that's calling us, right? So that's the HEAT model. And then emotional intelligence, understanding where you are and how you respond and react to things around you, to your environment, how people interact with you, and being able to use that to set yourself up for success in your metabolic space. Anyway, so lots of different tools that we've learned, how to look at the medications you're on in terms of your diabetes medications and decide which ones should we move off of and which ones we should think about getting on. One of the most amazing groups of medications that are out there right now are the GLP-1 receptor agonists. These are all the medications that people, that's the ones that are in the news. As a matter of fact, there is an article that recently came out that just came through my email that says the number of prescriptions for GLP-1 has skyrocketed in 2024. And the number of bariatric surgeries, that's weight loss surgery, has decreased by 20%. I want you to hear that number. All right. Now, I haven't gone deeper into our article and I've not checked all of their sources, but that's what the article said. Right. So we've skyrocketed in the number of GLP-1 receptor agonist prescriptions that we've had, and the number of surgeries that people are having for bariatrics has gone down by 25%. Now, I want you to understand how significant that is. I want you to think about that for a minute. For a long time, we had really very limited ability to manage weight. And you're saying, well, why are you talking about weight and you just talked about diabetes? Well, one of the biggest complications of diabetes is weight gain. And one of the biggest complications of weight gain is diabetes. They go hand in hand. And the question that we always ask is, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And to understand that, and it is sometimes It is sometimes a light bulb that goes on in people's head when I explain the interaction between diabetes and weight. Let's take it in the one direction first. Let's assume that someone puts on weight, and the more weight they put on, the more insulin their body has to produce in order for their blood sugars to remain normal. Okay? That's kind of like you trying to lift a table. Okay? And there are 4 people around the table, and the 4 of you guys are able to lift it without a problem. Well, if I stack weight on top of the table, the heavier that it gets, the more people you need to help you lift the table. So the same thing with insulin. As your weight goes up, the amount of blood sugar that your body has to manage goes up, and so the insulin has to go up to compensate to keep the blood sugar normal. Make sense? Not an issue, except that when that insulin goes up, the insulin now stimulates the appetite, it stimulates cravings, and it causes increase in weight. So the weight goes up, so the insulin goes up. Insulin goes up, weight goes up. Weight goes up, insulin goes up. Insulin goes up, weight goes up. And then at some point, the body does not have the ability anymore to give you enough insulin to take you to where you need to go in terms of managing blood sugar. And when that process happens, that's when diabetes shows up. Make sense so far? Okay, now let's take it the opposite direction. Let's assume that maybe it wasn't the weight that caused it. Somehow, because of genetics, because of, a person develops diabetes. In order for us to treat their diabetes, we've got to get their body either to make more insulin or we've got to give them more insulin. And the moment we give them insulin or force their body to make insulin because of medication, that insulin, once again, stimulates the appetite, stimulates cravings, makes you gain weight. When we gain weight, now we're back into that same cycle. And one of the things that the GLP-1 receptor agonists do is they break that cycle. They help people to get rid of the food noise. And I don't want you to discount this idea of food noise, because it is a significant driving force for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who wake up in the morning, and when they wake up, their first thought is, okay, what am I going to eat? When they finish eating, they think, what am I having for for lunch? When they finish eating lunch, they're, okay, what am I going to have for supper? So it is a constant thought in their minds, in their heads, about food. And so the GLP-1s quiet that noise. And that's what makes them an amazing group of medications, right? So we talked about, well, how do we look at our medications, talk to our physicians about maybe putting us on a particular medication or taking us off of other medications. Remember the pillars of diabetes reversal. There are 3. Decrease insulin, suppress the appetite, and reduce sugar. Decrease insulin, suppress appetite, reduce sugar. So any medications that you're on that make your body produce sugar, make your body produce insulin, those medications are the first medications you should consider getting off of. That includes insulin. Now remember, we're talking to type 2 diabetics, adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes. So if you are on insulin, the first task is to, okay, how do I manage my blood sugars? How do I improve these blood sugars to the point where where I don't have to take insulin, or I can decrease the insulin as much as possible? When we're off of insulin, okay, now let's look at the drugs, the prescription drugs that I'm on that are forcing my body to make insulin. These are the secretagogues. Once I'm off of secretagogue, now let's look at medications that have a combination of secretagogue and something else. We get off of those. So what we're doing is we're decreasing the amount of insulin in our body. When we decrease the insulin in our body, or decrease the insulin we have to take, then that automatically suppresses our appetite. We don't have those cravings. So we have a built-in system now, because we've gotten rid of some of those medications, to help us with the cravings, to help us with the food noise. Because we're getting rid of the food noise, because we're suppressing the appetite, then we don't eat as much. And when we don't eat as much, we don't have as much sugar. So we've hit decreasing the insulin. When we decrease the insulin, we suppress the appetite. When we suppress the appetite, we decrease the amount of sugar or reduce the amount of sugar. Right? So see the progression? So in that process then, in that idea, fasting is the thing that we've been using to get to the point where we can hit all three of those pillars and reverse our diabetes. And so as we move through the week, we have been doing a fast a week, right? Some people are doing 72 hours. Some people are doing 24 hours. Some people are doing one meal a day. Whatever the fasting you're doing, we're recommending doing it once a week. And we've been doing a 72-hour fast. And as we're doing that fast, we come and we check in to see how we're doing, what are the blood sugars doing, and to be with each other, encourage each other as we move through the space. And so we're talking about how do we fast successfully to be able to improve the things that we need to in our diabetes. Okay? And so for those of you who are not diabetic now, because diabetes is the prototypic metabolic disease, meaning that it's associated with, it has components of, all those other metabolic diseases. When we talk about chronic illness, if we can treat diabetes, we can then make changes in those things. And so for even people who don't have diabetes, people who are struggling with weight, people who are struggling with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, metabolic syndrome, the things that we do help those people as well. And so the process of going to manage diabetes also helps metabolic disease. And I've said often, at least in the last several months, I've been saying that we could easily change this show. And when you hear me say, hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, that's Woode with an E, I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes. I could easily say, hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, that's Woode with an E. I'm the endocrinologist, and I'm talking to people who are frustrated with their weight, who are interested in losing weight, and we're using fasting as a way to do that. Okay? And so in our space, we've been using fasting as one of those amazing tools that will help us reverse our diabetes and attack all of those other metabolic diseases. If you've been following us, if you've not, go back and look at some of the shows and see the amazing transformation that's happening in our community for people who are on the New Year, New You path and who are getting amazing success. All right? So we'll talk more about that in just a minute, but I do see some of our community members out there. Just want to hop over and say hello. So Jennifer saying howdy. Jennifer said, I hadn't fasted for a while, but currently doing so since Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Okay, awesome, good. Let me give you a hand clap for that, Jennifer. So how many hours does that put you now in? Steve says, doing great. Jennifer, yes, right. You are doing a great job. Jennifer said, hey, Steve, thanks. Steve said, I am about 24 hours in. Don't know what time I'll end it. Okay, awesome. Congratulations to you as well, Steve. He said, fasting has gotten me at my low weight. That's right. Steve said, do you do Instagram, Jennifer? Yeah, I think Jennifer is on Instagram. I think I saw her over there. Or I do see her over there. Well, not now, but I've seen her there. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and so that's what we're doing. And one of the interesting things or conversations that I have, let me say that, not things. One of the interesting conversations I have is with people. In fact, I was talking to someone recently, and I was telling them that one of the most amazing things that has happened to me is the mindset change that has come with the New Year, New You process. Go back and take a look at, I think there's a video that I did that says my My 1 year journey to reverse my diabetes, 25 years in the making. So as the endocrinologist, as the guy who's teaching people about diabetes, as the one who talks about metabolism, that was a struggle for me. And so as the New Year, New You process developed, it was a transformative place for me to find myself. And so as I am in the community, as I'm talking with you, as I talk to patients, and I tell them it's a daily thing. It is a daily practice. It is a daily understanding of how my body works, and also a daily process to continue to move to a better place. So each day I'm getting better and better and better and better. And so that's the whole idea behind New Year, New You. And I know it says New Year, New You, but it's not New Year, New You. It's a new lifetime, New You. And so fasting is one of those tools that we've been using in that space. Okay, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and let's do a check-in. So whenever I come on, we're talking about fasting, and whatever you are doing things in your space, in your life that you are trying to improve, you want to make sure that you are evaluating those things to make sure that you're, first of all, getting the benefits that you thought, or to see if there are places where you need to make changes so that you can become more successful in managing those things. And so I do that each time we come on in a check-in, where I talk about 3 different components, and these components are really the places where people find themselves struggling. That is our physical, mental, and emotional space. How are we feeling? How are we doing in those spaces? So physically, let me back up before I get there. Let me get back up for a minute. And so if you were with us over the past several weeks, you know that we had holidays that were coming up. We got through the holidays, and then kind of getting back into, quote unquote, the space that we want to be in. And so I do a 72-hour fast once a week. This week, I actually started the fast early. I usually do a fast Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This week, I started the fast on Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we did a 96-hour fast. Actually, it turned out to be 97 plus, almost 98 hours in our fast this week for several reasons. Number one, coming on the heels of the holidays, I wanted to get back to my non-holiday eating. Notice what I'm saying, my non-holiday eating, right? There are so many things that we can talk about in just that statement. Okay? Notice I didn't say that I fell off the bandwagon. I didn't say that I missed the train. I went off the reservation. I made a mistake. I cheated. No, I didn't. I planned what I was going to do over the holidays. And I planned what I was going to do after the holidays. So it is a planned process. And the other reason I started it early was that I'm going to be hanging out with some friends. As a matter of fact, I got one of my friends who's getting ready to come get me here in just a little while. We're going to hang out together, and we're going to be eating. And so I wanted to make sure I got my fast in for this week, both for the holidays, and to make sure I got my fast in before I got onto my my hanging out eating plan. Okay, so I've gotten I made the decision, and I've gotten my plan enacted for this week that will compensate for those things that I'm eating on either side of the plan. And so the plan was actually a little extended, right? So normally I do a 72 hours. This week I did a 96-hour fast, 97-hour fast. So you can adjust your fast as you see fit to fit into your lifestyle, to fit into the things that you need to do, as long as you are sure, as long as you're making sure that you're getting the benefits. So you're not short-circuiting, or you're not, quote-unquote, cheating yourself. Right? So if you do that, then not an issue. So let's go ahead and let's talk. And so last night on our episode, we actually broke the fast at 97 hours. So, and then I just ate just before I came on the show. And I do on my non-fasting days, on the days when I'm not fasting, I do a roughly 16 and 8. So kind of an intermittent fasting. So when I fast on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that's a 72-hour, of course, no calories taken in. And then from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I do a 16-8 fast. And it really is I think when people say fasting, when folks hear that, they think restriction, they think can't eat, they think I'm in a box. But these are really just decisions that I have made. And I'll tell you, when I am approaching a fast, I get excited. When I'm enforcing my fasting time, I get excited because I don't have to worry about the food noise. I don't have to worry about what am I going to eat. I don't have to worry about what thing is going to spike my blood sugar. I don't have to worry about my weight going. I don't have to worry about any of that. Because in the fasting, all of that gets better. Now, I'll tell you when it's coming time to break the fast, I don't want to say my anxiety, but my thoughts get a little bit erratic, because if I'm not careful, I go into a thought process of scarcity. Now, scarcity says that there's no more coming. It's kind of like those people who they're sitting at the end of a table during Thanksgiving, and they are being very good, quote unquote, right? So they're not eating all the stuff that's on the table. They're not having any of the dressing or stuffing, whatever you want to call it. They're not eating any of the pecan pie. They're not eating anything with sweets. They're very good, they think, because they're on an eating plan. And it doesn't have to be a diabetic. It's someone who's trying to lose weight, who's improving their blood pressure and cholesterol and so forth, right? And so they're sitting there and everybody's enjoying the process and they're not partaking, right? They're still talking and, going through the process. But when everybody goes upstairs and goes to sleep or goes home, they start to creep. And they're in the refrigerator, they're in the pantry, they're on the table, and all the things that are there, right, that they didn't eat during the process when food was being served and everybody was eating, now they start eating it. But there's a thing that happens in their mind. And the thing that happens in their mind is this idea of scarcity. Like, I don't know if anybody's going to come downstairs and catch me. I don't know if I'm going to get any more of this stuff till next year. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get some more tomorrow when everybody starts eating again. And so in their heads, they've got to eat it right now, and they've got to eat as much as possible. And so they end up eating much more in that setting than they would have eaten had they eaten when everybody was sitting at a table eating together. So when I'm getting to the end of the fast, this idea of scarcity, right, sometimes will come in if I'm not careful, because scarcity in my case says, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to be starting a fast again in another few days. I've got to get as much in as I can. And that is not the place we want to be, right? It is and I love what Steve said in the chat. He said that it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And I can get more if I want. I can actually not do the fast for a day, or I can postpone the fast, or I can make those decisions because it is not a fixed authoritarian superimposed process. It is a process that I personally decided that I'm going to do, and you are deciding that you're going to do to improve your blood pressure, improve your cholesterol, improve your diabetes, improve your metabolic health. Okay? So that's where we are. And so let's go ahead and do a check-in. And so when we ended my fast last night, I was actually pretty energetic. I was not feeling that I was walking through quicksand. I didn't feel exhausted. I didn't feel like I was, I had lost energy because I had done a good job of resting. Mentally, and today, of course, I'm not fasting. I just ate. I fasted for about, 16 hours, I guess that was. Um, 12, yeah, about 16. And so yeah, so I'm feeling good. And I had that meal. I think, my guys, we're gonna have dinner tonight, I'm assuming. Um, but yeah, so it is gonna be what it is. So right now I'm feeling actually pretty good. I'm feeling energetic, excited for this time we'll be spending with my friends. Mentally, I'm feeling clear. I'm not feeling foggy headed, lightheaded. I'm not feeling. Actually, let me go back to physical. So lightheadedness, dizziness, sweatiness, or palpitations. These are things that people will feel. Often that comes because we are not rested or because we're not hydrated. Right? And then mentally, I feel clear. You know that the mentation will go along with how you're feeling physically. So if you're not doing well physically, that will show up in your thought process. If you're tired, that will show up in your thought process. And right now, I'm not feeling foggy headed, lightheaded. I'm not feeling dizzy. I'm not feeling like I'm in a bubble. I didn't feel that way yesterday or last night when we broke the fast. And then emotionally, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm here with you in the community, looking at your messages in the chat and the interaction. And I'm looking forward to just seeing some friends, hanging out with them. And, we do this once a year. So that's fun for me. So I'm excited about that. So physically, mentally, and emotionally, I'm doing well. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at my blood sugar. And this is, I wear I wear two glucose monitors. One is a Freestyle Libre, and the other is a Dexcom G7. And on the screen right now, you'll see the Freestyle. It says my blood sugar is 113. If you see the white squiggly line down there near the mid bottom of the screen, the grayish green that's there, the red dotted line, that's a 70 blood sugar, and then the top of that bar is 150. So you'll see prior to, I guess, about 12 hours, 3 a.m., my blood sugar was right at about 100, and then it climbed up to about 150, and we'll take a look on my Dexcom in a minute so we can see these actual numbers, and then back down to where it is right now at 113. So if I go to look at the Dexcom, you'll see similar things, and this is a 24-hour look that we're seeing right here. And so yesterday afternoon at 2:40, we were in the 70s, all the way up until about 9 o'clock. And if you saw the episode, you saw when I started eating, when I broke the fast, right at about 98 hours. And after that, look at the blood sugar, right? So on the show, and I think I had just eaten maybe for 30 minutes, so we didn't see a full effect of that food. And so look at that. We went from the 70s, and the blood sugar started climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. And so now we're at 1 a.m., about 103, 98, and keep going. We're 107, 123, and I think we got as high as maybe 150, 155. Let's see what that is. Oh, no, we got up to about 170, 180. All right, and then started coming back down. And to where we are right now. Okay, so right in here, let me see if I could find. Let's go back. 9 a.m. Okay, so no, yeah, so right here, right? So my blood, so from the food, right? Let's walk through this a little bit. So from the food, we actually did not spike up that much, right? So look at that. We got up to maybe 100, maybe 120s. But look at this right here. So this is about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I want you to see the dawn phenomenon, right? So we ate, and the blood sugars went up to maybe 120s, 130s. Well, not even 130s. But right here about 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, my body, or your body, normally releases hormones. And then look at that, right? So look at how it's starting to climb right there. And then right about here is where I brush my teeth. Right? So dawn phenomenon happened, and we got up to about 1:30, And then look at that. Look at this response right here. This is toothpaste, y'all. Right? So I didn't eat anything until just before I came on the show. So all of this right here is the response from toothpaste. That's amazing. Okay. And then, of course, now we're down to 120. And what I had was I had some smoked chicken, some jerk chicken. And so I don't expect that that's going to cause a big spike in my blood sugar. Anyway, so that's what my continuous monitors are showing. And then let's go ahead and take a look at these guys and see where we are. So let's go ahead and put this one on the screen. And so I have a Clara Dexcom, Keto Mojo, which gives me a glucose and a blood sugar or ketones, and then a Contour that just gives me blood sugar. So let's go ahead and let's get a strip into the Contour, see what my blood sugar is. And let's go ahead and get a strip into the Keto Mojo. And I'm going to open up the strip for the ketones because it just makes it simpler to do it now. So what do you think my ketones are going to be? And let's go ahead and get one of our handy dandy Lancet. I'm going to use this one today. This is a twist off as well. Basically twist the top off, and you may be able to see right there, maybe. Yeah, so there's a little needle. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, so what do you think my ketones are going to be after 16 hours of fasting and then just eating, right? So I just ate, so just before I came on the show. So it shouldn't have had a big effect on my ketones as yet, in terms of the food that I just ate. Now, what I ate last night definitely will have an effect on my ketones. So let's go ahead and let's get a finger stick. And ow. That does hurt a little bit. But hopefully I got a good drop of blood, I think. Maybe. Okay. So we're probably going to have to milk that a little bit to get... Okay. I hope I don't have to stick myself again. All right, so that's good to get that one started. Let's see if I get a good drop for the Contour, maybe. Okay, so the Keto Mojo says 103. Let me get another, see if I can get another drop out of this. And the Contour says 129. Okay, that's a difference. And let's go ahead and get the ketone strip in. And let's see, let's make sure. There we go. All right, so yes, that did work. All right, so yeah, so Steve, I think, says 0.8. So let's go ahead and let's go back and look at some of the comments that we have. Yeah, so Steve says fasting got me to my low weight. Yes. Jennifer said I have an IG account, but go there sporadically. Great info on IG about fasting helping with cancer. Steve says it's a lifestyle. That is true. And he says, my glucose level is better. I've been on Cipro that has helped sinus problems. I hope this will get my A1C back in order. Yeah. So infection definitely can cause high blood sugars. Some antibiotics actually can cause high blood sugars. But remember, those inflammatory processes can raise the blood sugar. Steve says he thinks my ketones are going to be 0.8. And Jennifer says, my system does the opposite. At about 5 a.m., my blood sugar will drop. If I'm wearing a CGM, the alarm will sound. Been as low as the 50s regularly. Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Okay. All right. So let's hop over and let's go ahead and talk a little bit about fasting. Whenever I talk about fasting, we're talking about three different things, right? So fasting is not just about not eating. There are three phases of fasting. It's preparing for the fast, getting through the fast successfully, and then, of course, breaking the fast. All right, so we're going to talk about each of those phases. And if you don't do a good job in any particular phase, then it can have ramifications for the entire process of fasting. So once again, fasting is not just about you not eating food. It has a physical, emotional, and physical, mental, and emotional components to it, as well as social. Okay? And so we want to talk about how do we prepare for the fast successfully. So preparing for a fast, why is it necessary to prepare for a fast? Well, it's necessary to prepare for a fast because when we don't prepare, then we can have a shock to the system. That is physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Particularly if you're doing those long extended fasts, if you go from eating high carbs and eating highly refined stuff, if you don't do a good job of preparing for the fast, then you can get into a situation where you are craving throughout the fast and the fast does not go well. If you come into the fast just having eaten a lot of highly processed foods, carbs, and so forth, your body has to deal with those. And as it deals with those, then we run into issues of insulin coming out to deal with the sugar. And as a result of that, we have cravings, we have hunger, we feel like we're hungry, and it sets us up for not having a good fast. Okay, so preparing for the fast. It minimizes some of the effects. If you don't stay hydrated, if you don't rest when you're in the fast, you're going to feel drained, you're going to feel lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy, you're going to feel palpitations, and then what happens is people say at that point that, hey, the fast didn't work. And it's not that the fast didn't work, but it was the preparation for the fast that didn't go well. So preparing for a fast, very, very important. And then it helps us to focus. It helps us to focus on the purpose and the goal of the fasting. So this is all stuff that we do as we're preparing for the fast. Right? So mental preparation. Mental preparation. If you come into the fast, if you just walk in and say, hey, I'm going to fast today, if you are not ready for that, then the thoughts can become difficult. If you have not visualized where you're heading, if you don't know the reason, your why for the fasting, if you don't understand the fast that you're doing, the type of fast that you're doing, what's required, then that sets you up for having a difficult time. Okay? You want to set clear goals. You want to understand your why for the fasting. You want to visualize it. See it, the end of it. See when you're going to be ending it. See what is going to be happening. See the benefits that you're getting from the fasting. And then educate yourself on the type of fast that you're going to be doing. Research the fasting methods. We've done several shows where we talked about different fasting schedules. 16-8, you've heard me say. 1 meal a day, you've heard me say. 5 and 2. Alternate day fasting. 24-hour fasting, which is where we start with what we called prolonged fasting or extended fasting. So 48 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours. 1 week, I think we did a 106-hour fast. Right? So research them. There are particular fasts that will affect certain disease processes. Now, they all help for improving blood sugar. They all helped for improving weight. They all help for improving insulin sensitivity and metabolic syndrome and so forth. But there are some that have been studied specifically for certain diseases. We did a show where we discussed that. So educate yourself and then get ready. So this is mental preparation, right? There are going to be times throughout the fast where you're going to have some humps. You're going to have some bumps. There's going to be a time when, everybody around you is eating and the cravings are going to come. So set yourself up with some mantras. I am completing the fast this week. I am doing a 72-hour fast. I am improving my metabolic health. I am improving my insulin sensitivity. I can fast successfully for 24 hours, for 48 hours, whatever the number of hours that you've chosen. Write those on your wall. Write it on your computer. Put it on your mirror so that you see it while you're brushing your teeth. Because that will help you as you move through the fast. It helps you to stay motivated and it helps you to reach your fast successfully. Nutritional preparation. Very, very important. If you don't do a good job of eating nutrient-dense foods through your eating period, when you get into the fast, you can set yourself up for difficulty. Right? If you're not having good nutrients, when you get into the fast, you can have nutrient deficiencies. If you're not eating proteins and fats to help stabilize blood sugar, help decrease the absorption of carbohydrates and sugars, to help you slow down the GI tract so that you feel fuller longer, when you get into the fast, all of a sudden those cravings come, not because of the fast, but because what we ate before is causing us a problem, right? So you want to increase healthy fats. You want to decrease the carbs and sugars. Remember the first, and we'll see this in a minute, the first 6 hours after eating, that's called the postprandial period. So what's happening there is the body is breaking down the food. It is absorbing the nutrients. It is absorbing the carbohydrates. It is increasing our sugar levels. So if you've eaten something that is significantly processed, significantly carb heavy, significantly sugar heavy, when you get into the fast, think about the amount of insulin that the body has to produce to counteract what you just ate, and the length of time that it takes for that to happen. And so during those first 6 hours, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours, you are going to be feeling cravings, because the body has to produce so much insulin for the food that you ate before you got into the fast. Okay? Increase your water and electrolyte intake, right? Make sure that you're doing that, because if you're dehydrated, then you will feel lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, other things if your electrolytes are not balanced, and gradually reduce your eating window. Don't just show up and say, okay, I'm doing a 72-hour fast, unless you do that regularly. Right? So we tell people, walk into it, start slow and go and increase until you're able to achieve the fasting process that you need. Okay? If you sleep right now 8 hours, that's a fast. Right? Then you start increasing the number of hours that you fast. Hydration and electrolytes are very important. Remember, if your volume in your body goes down, if you don't drink enough water, the body still has to get the same nutrients, the same oxygen to all of the cells. And how does it do that? It increases your heart rate. So it makes the blood go faster because there's not enough of it. And when that happens, we feel that like palpitations, we feel like our heart is racing, skipping a beat, all those things. So make sure that you're drinking enough, and make sure you're having enough. Make sure you're having enough electrolytes. Physical preparation. So if you are not an exerciser, if you're not doing fasting workouts, then you want to begin decreasing the exercise that you're doing to light exercises, so that you don't feel exhausted. Now, if you're doing fasting workouts, which is a whole nother conversation, then there are certain things that you've got to keep in mind as well. Okay, but begin decreasing between 1 to 2 days prior to fasting to begin working down towards lighter exercises. Make sure you're getting quality sleep. Because if you don't get quality sleep, you will feel the transition between ketones or carbohydrates to ketones more profoundly, and people will say, hey, I don't do well with fasting. Well, it's because of the transition, and if you're not rested, then that feels a lot more pronounced. Okay, and then begin reducing your caffeine intake, because if you don't during the fasting, you can have some difficulty because you go through those withdrawal symptoms. And then your environment, prepare your environment. If you have things around you that are triggers to you, when you are fasting, you will eat those things. You will break the fast when you don't want to, because the things are accessible, because the things are around. Okay? So begin cleaning out your environment. Make your environment fasting friendly. Develop routines, so things that you're going to do to distract yourself. If you're going to fast on one day, don't pick the day that you're at home. Unless you're busy, right? Because otherwise you're just sitting at the house, not eating, and you're going to start thinking about food. Do it on a day when you're busy. You're sleeping for 8 hours, right? So that's 6 to 8 hours. That's gone already. And then if you go to work and you're busy all day, right? Another 8 hours. So that's 16 hours. Now you just have 8 hours to go, and your fast is completed. But if you do it on a day when you're not busy, when you're at home, you wake up in the morning and you have 24 hours now to go. Well, if you slept, right? So that's 8 hours. Now you have was that 14? You have 14 hours to go. Yes? Okay, so begin preparing your environment. And then socially and emotionally, you want to make sure that the people around you are familiar and are aware of what you're doing, so that they don't plan things to include you in food, and they're not telling you, hey, you got to eat, you got to eat, you got to eat, you got to eat. Right? Because that gets annoying. And after a while, you're going to eat, not because you want to, but simply you don't want anybody to say anything to you. But talk to them. Say, hey, this is what's going on. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Also, don't plan your fasting time during times when you know is going to cause friction or conflict. If your family normally sits to eat at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, don't start your fast at 4. Sit, eat with the family. Enjoy the meal. Start the fast after the meal. Okay? And so don't set yourself up to have difficulty. Find as much possible the ways to integrate fasting into your process so that it's simple. Because if you had to make a decision, if your brain has to make a decision between arguing with your wife because she thinks you're not eating, because she thinks that you're not enjoying the food, whatever the number of things that she thinks, or eating, you're going to eat. Because you don't want to have the friction. And because we like community, we're built for community. So we will make a choice to be in community rather than be ostracized from the community and, quote unquote, be healthy. Okay. All right. So what are our takeaways that I want you to get from preparing for the fast? Number 1, get lots of rest. Stay hydrated. Reduce stress. Learn how to deal with stress, and then eat nutrient-dense foods. So that's the preparing for the fast. Remember, there are 3 phases. How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast? And then, of course, how do we break the fast? When we talk about the fast itself, I usually talk in 24-hour periods, but we're going to do that a little bit more finely so that we can see some things that are going on in the body. So the first 6 hours after you finish eating, you ate now, and you stop eating, for the next 6 hours, this is called the postprandial phase. This is where the body is breaking down the nutrients. It's absorbing the stuff from the food that you just ate. The body's grinding enough. It's packaging up the fats. It's breaking down the proteins. It is dissolving the carbohydrates, and it's sucking the sugar out of that. So blood sugars tend to be high during this time because most of us will eat carbs during that time. Okay, and insulin levels are high. Energy levels are high because you have that ready access to the carbohydrates. This is the first 6 hours in your body. This is where, if you have just finished eating a high carb, high sugar food or meal, this process takes longer. You have to produce more insulin. And the more insulin you produce, the more you get cravings. And if you come into the fast with that, your first 12 hours actually is going to be more difficult because those cravings are going to be incredible. Right? This is the postprandial phase. And then the next 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours, this is called the early fasting phase. And in this section, your insulin levels are starting to go down because the body is processed. It's absorbed the sugar. It's using some of the sugar that's in the blood, and it's taking some of it and it's sending it to the liver, and it's sending the excess over to storage. So the blood sugar, the insulin levels are going down. The body is decreasing the sugar, and now we start to signal that, hey, the blood sugar is going down. Now let's go get some of the stuff, the readily accessible sugar that's in the liver, and let's go ahead and use that for energy. This is called glycogenolysis. So it's breaking down the stored glycogen stored glycogen, and you are starting to use that for energy. Okay, and your energy levels are beginning to fluctuate during this time. So 12 to 18 hours, transitioning to using fat. So now that we've used up the carbs, now that we've broken down what's in the liver, the body is starting to think, hey, I need to begin looking at some other sources of energy. And one of the most ready sources of energy we have is this thing right here. Right? It's called fat. And so the body begins breaking that down now. And the liver starts to do gluconeogenesis, which is creating sugar from non-sugar sources, right? Or non-carb sources. The ketones are initially low because we're still getting sugar from elsewhere. We still be able to do that. People can become irritable during this process because this is where we're starting the transition. Right? They become irritable. They get headaches. They feel like their energy is dropping. They feel like they are hitting a wall. All of those are phrases that we get. Right? Then ketosis begins in the next 18 to 24 hours. So glycogen stores are mostly gone, and the body's now beginning to adapt to actually using ketones. The initial stages of mental clarity begins because now we're getting beta hydroxybutyrate. Remember, that's the ketone that we like. Autophagy has started. That's that cellular cleanup process that the body goes through to recycle and reclaim damaged, broken, unused cells. This is where people talk about the improvement of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. This is where we talk about improvement in neuropathy. This is where we talk about decreasing inflammation and improved immunity and getting rid of cancer cells. All of that happens as we get through the fast. And this is where that all begins. And then the next, so that's 18 to 24 hours. And then if we talk about 24 to 30 hours, we are fat adapted. We are in force now, burning fat and converting that to ketones. We have a stable source of energy. Our energy levels stabilize. Autophagy is like in full force. We're getting all of those benefits. We got significant increase in ketone production. And I liken this to talk about the Marvel movies with Iron Man. Tony Stark, he puts in that new arc reactor. He takes the old one out and he puts the new one in and he screws it in. And when it first goes online, it goes, and you see that energy, that source of, he feels great. Right? So we have a clean source of energy. In this process, you want to also make sure that you're doing the same things, that you're getting lots of rest, that you're staying hydrated, that you're reducing stress. Of course, here we're not eating, but yeah, those first three. And so preparing for the fast, getting through the fast successfully, and then, of course, breaking the fast. So how do we break the fast so that we don't undo the benefits that we have? Well, there are some keys that I want to talk to you about, and here are some tips. Number one, you want to monitor your blood sugar. And yes, I said monitor blood sugar. Go out to the store. If you're not diabetic, if you don't have a prescription, you can get a relatively inexpensive glucose meter. If you want, you can get a continuous monitor. There's over-the-counter version now that's available. And you want to look at those. And it helps you to know how your body is responding to the foods that you're eating, to the exercise that you're doing, to the sleep, to the rest, to the stress, to the situations that you find yourself in. You want to know what that is. Because sometimes we're unaware of what's going on inside us. This is a great way to do that. Monitor blood sugars. When you begin eating, you want to make sure that you're observing the portions. Often it's not that people are eating the wrong thing, but they're eating too much of something. Just because it's healthy doesn't mean you can eat as much as you want. And then eat slowly. It takes about 20 minutes for the body to all the signals to say, hey, I'm full. 20 minutes. So if you just put it in, scarf it down in 10 minutes, guess what? The signal is not getting there. It's not getting there for another 10 minutes. And by the time then, you've gone down on another 3 or 4 slices of pizza. You don't enjoy it when you don't slow down. Because we don't enjoy it, the body says, give me more. Give me more until I feel like I'm enjoying it. So begin slowly, slowly, slowly. And then avoid sugary processed foods. If you break the fast with highly processed, high sugar foods, then your blood sugar is going to go up, insulin is going to come out, appetite is going to be stimulated, and then you start having cravings. And so the first several hours of your fasting or breaking the fast can be difficult depending on what you eat when you first break the fast. I often say to people that the thing that you break the fast with will dictate the types of foods that you will eat throughout the next 24 to 36 hours. So if you eat donuts, you're going to want donuts. Last night I ate a salad. What did I have? I had some broth. I had a salad. I had some cheese, some nuts, almonds, and sunflower. And then what did I have? Some flank steak. It's not a lot and not a big rise in my blood sugar. Okay? And then, so those are some tips that you want to have. And then stay hydrated, right? So hydration, always you're going to hear that. Hydration. So water is always good. You can use coconut water unsweetened. Herbal teas are good because they help to soothe you, they help to calm you as you're getting back into the eating space. Make sure you're using protein, enough protein, healthy proteins, because those are going to help to stabilize the blood sugar as you begin eating. They will help to slow the absorption of carbohydrates. Proteins release the PYY, which is a signal that gets sent to the brain that you're full, so it will help you to feel fuller longer. If you've not done so, make sure you go back and watch our series or mini-series, The Science of Hunger. There's a playlist out on the channel for that. So fried eggs, chicken or turkey, tofu, tempeh, those are all good if you're vegan or vegetarian. Healthy fats, almonds, nuts, seeds, all of this will help because the fats will release CCK, cholecystokinin, which also signals the brain that we're full. They will also slow the GI tract, so we feel fuller longer, and it will blunt the absorption of carbohydrates. Okay, broths, very good. Vegetable broths, bone broth, and on the show last episode, I broke my fast starting with broths. According to you guys told me to do that, right? And here's some considerations. When you break the fast, choose foods that help to maintain stable blood glucose levels while offering nutritional value and are gentle on the digestive system. Focus on low glycemic index foods. Remember, that's glycemic index of 50 or lower. You want to make sure that you're having lean proteins, healthy fats, and make sure that you remain hydrated. Okay, make sure you're doing that. All right, so let's see what we've got here. So Jennifer was talking about her low blood sugar. She says further, I check with blood check too. Okay, so when you get CGM, you have a low, and then you check with the glucose level. If I get up and walk around, then it normalizes. Yeah. A lot of people have that. Steve says, mine drops below 100 this week. First time in a couple of months. And Steve says, we sit around the house all the time. Well, I think you guys have a system now, Steve. Awesome. All right. So as we move through the metabolic space, the things that will throw us off track, one of them is our looking at the past and our thought process. So I want to encourage you to let you know that you have unlimited potential to make change. You can make decisions to improve your metabolic health starting right now. What's happened in the past is the past. You can't go back and change it. There are probably some complications that you have as a result of some choices that you made back then. But right now, right here, you have unlimited potential to make change. You have unlimited potential to make decisions about what will happen for your life going forward. So right now, you can make that choice. And so what we do here is we help you to tap into that. And we do that with the Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the podcast, with the blog, with the shows that we do, because we want to change your mindset. We want you to have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. A growth mindset said, I can improve, I can be better, I can learn, and I could change my future. A fixed mindset says that all I have is what is right here. But we want to change that. We want to alter that. So we educate, we empower with the tools that we learn. And you heard me at the top of the show talking about all the things that we've learned. And one of the most powerful tools that we have is the tool of fasting. And then we encourage. We encourage with the community, just as you see some of our community members out there that are talking, letting us know what's going on in their lives and how things are going. You can become part of this community so that you also can get those benefits. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. There are things that are going to push your buttons, that are going to trigger you. Remember the heat model. We eat not because we're hungry often. We eat because of habits, emotions, access, and taste. We eat because of the routines that we've gotten into. That's the habits. We go to the movies and we eat popcorn. Somebody comes over to visit. We get coffee and tea, and we give a muffin. Someone says, hey, let's go hang out. We go someplace where there's food. So habits. Emotions. If your emotions get strong enough, then you will eat, because those emotions will drive through the decision that you made. If you become frustrated enough, angry enough, anxious enough, bored enough, tired enough, all of those things will cause you to disregard the decision you made about what you're going to eat and how you're going to eat. We eat also because of access. There are things that are in your environment. If you get upset and they weren't there, you wouldn't eat them. But you got upset, you got tired, you got frustrated, you got bored, and they were readily available, and so you went over and you grabbed them. We eat because of access. You walk by your coworker's desk and they've got those candies, you grab one. Not because you're hungry, but just because they're there. You get up from watching something on TV to go to the bathroom, and as you come back, you see on the table, or you think about something in the pantry, something in the refrigerator, you grab it. Not because you're hungry, but because it is there. And then we eat because of taste. The perfect combination of sugar, salt, and fat, called the bliss point. So when I eat it, I can't just have one. But remember, we're not chasing the food necessarily. What we're chasing is what the food does for us. The seemingly calmness that it brings. The mental place that it takes us. The memory that it brings back of that time when we ate that thing with that person that we felt that way. And so we're always chasing that dopamine hit that we get from the food, or the anticipation of the food as well. So those are the triggers. Remember the pillars for reversing diabetes. Decrease insulin, suppress appetite, and reduce sugar. Fasting does that. Hits every one of those pillars. And so that's why it's a powerful tool for our reversing diabetes. Another tool that hits all three pillars is this idea of balanced bites. Every bite that we take sends a signal to our body. So we want to fuel our bodies with balanced bites. We want to make sure that we are thoughtful in what we're eating. And that is, we want to enhance whole foods, minimize processed foods, no added sugar. We want to have lean protein and healthy fats, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, tasty and flavorful food, and we want portions to be controlled, the appropriate portion sizes. Because if you're not careful, then you can undo what we've done in terms of our metabolism, in terms of our fasting. And then join the challenges. When you're in this space, there are challenges that we do once a month. This is your opportunity to practice. Don't just let the shows be something that goes on your shelf that you listen to, but you got to get in there. The things that you hear, the things that you learn, don't take life until you take action. So take action on those. This is your opportunity to practice. Share your story. Let us know the successes you're having so that we can give you a shout out and give you some music, give you some hand claps to let you know how proud we are of you. And if you're having challenges, if you're having some places where things aren't quite going the way you thought they would go, we get to put our arms around you. We get to wrap around you. We have our community meetup that happens once a month. As a matter of fact, while I'm talking about that, why don't I go ahead and just drop that in the chat right now? All right, so if you've not done so yet, go ahead and get signed up for that. We meet once a month. This month, we're meeting on the 19th. It's usually on the fourth Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, but because of the holidays that are coming up, we're moving that date. Right, so join the community, and then invite a friend. Don't just keep this to yourself. Let them know that there's a place where they can be metabolically healthy. Help them walk through the New Year, New You process. Help them walk through the how to fast successfully. Help them walk through how to reverse diabetes. You can be an ambassador for change at your church, in your home, in your community center, at your doctor's office, wherever you find yourself. You can do that. And remember, you can make that decision. You can make that change. I'm always excited when I get to spend some time with you here in this space with the community to enjoy just kind of going through and talking about where we are. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m., we have Video from the Vault that's coming up. We have This Week in Review, 6 a.m. on Sunday, Central Time. And then we are back here Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for Dwain Woode, MD Live. Remember, our final show for the season will be on December 23rd. So we've got three more Dwain Woode, MD Lives for this season. And then we will be doing our check-ins. So I think we have 6 more. For our fasting check-ins as we move through the rest of this season. So that makes about 9 shows. And then we will take 2 weeks break from the 23rd, and then we won't be back and then we will be back on the 6th of January. So make sure you mark those dates on your calendar to catch all of the shows for the rest of the season, and then to join us on the 6th of January as we bring in the new season with lots of new and exciting information, a new theme that's built on what we've been doing, and to be able to continue building the community and to encourage each other. Hey, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. As I always say, glad to be here. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new year, new you. We'll see you at our next show. Bye-bye.